Although you disagree, the bears would argue that this is the section of the foundation that is the least sustainable. Make us more comfortable with that degree of focus. Perhaps the hyperscalers are only in the middle of an end-user story. To put it another way, Microsoft is a 95% enterprise or hyperscaler. To put it another way, if you're a Microsoft shop and you're following this route, it's via Microsoft. No one else will experience what you will. Whether it's Google or Amazon, you will encounter other hyperscalers. Since it's not like Microsoft is a customer, I believe that when you talk about concentration today, it's more about perception. Correct. After that, you must descend to the thousands of businesses. Therefore, I don't think that actually tells the tale. It ultimately comes down to the end user, and in this regard, hyperscalers are essentially acting as a sort of middleman, aren't they? The computer that they are buying from Nvidia is being passed through. And it's okay if Dan or Josh Brown shows there and places an order via Microsoft. It is put through Nvidia by Microsoft. Although the order was placed through Microsoft, it was actually placed by you and me. According to Josh, one of the things that we'll be seeing is that, from a component viewpoint, demand is rising for everything. Will be an edge in a few weeks. The bears can find the AI revolution 10 floors up in a New York City office building, Metro North, Jersey Transit, the spreadsheets. I always remark when I mention bears, and I believe a lot of people have missed it because of that. In particular, what has been lacking since Apple? The article for the consumer. You have 300 million iPhones that haven't been updated in 4 years, the iPhone 16, and the consumer revolution. All of it is currently provided by Apple, with OpenAI to follow. Eventually, Nvidia will undoubtedly be very helpful. Thus, we will return to Apple shortly. I have a question for you regarding Blackwell. At the beginning of the presentation, you made reference to it. For those who are unaware, Blackwell is the next version of the cutting-edge standard system that Nvidia is now selling. Jensen Huang described this as a step function change above. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. Additionally, one of the worries before the call was that Blackwell might not be released in the quarter that people had initially expected. Additionally, he made a special effort to clarify to the sell side on the call that Blackwell is not delayed because we are altering its functionality. A new mask is the reason for the delay. For the investor who isn't an engineer, what does that mean? In essence, they have raised yield, and from a technological standpoint, the process of producing it has become even more efficient. All right, so the worry was that the party might be ruined by this delay. In actuality, though, you're only discussing a few months, and they have improved it during this process. They improved its efficiency. As they create it, their margins become more profitable. At this point, they mentioned, well, billions in the CH. We believe that this amounts to tens of billions, and this is only the beginning of the next chapter in that story. Therefore, moving Blackwell shipments into Q4 has no substantial impact on demand or profits projections. It's merely a natural occurrence when introducing a new technology. It doesn't always fall on a specific date on the calendar. Additionally, releasing something too soon, bugs or otherwise, is the last thing they should ever do. They must ensure that this is a golden item. And for that reason, that was resolved by the fact that all of the infrastructure is based on it and that they will be seeing some in the October quarter. Yes, and look, I simply believe that the stock is at its highest level ever as we sit here over the upcoming weeks and months, because I believe that when more people begin to check, they come to the realization that the demand isn't limited to Mag 7. Actually, it's Saturn and other businesses. Additionally, keep in mind that you haven't even reached Europe worldwide. At this point, we are truly discussing the century. Since some parts of China are exempt from the penalties, the news is considerably more focused on the United States. I have a question regarding the finances. In addition to the already approved $7.5 billion purchase, they announced a new $50 billion buyback. Would they be better off keeping this authorization in their back pocket in case of a market-wide sell-off or something? Or would they actually act on it? The second half of that debate is whether these buybacks are actually being done to reduce the float, or if they are only being used to sterilize new share issuance and stock-based remuneration. I mean, I don't think press release buybacks are just about delivering a signal. Isn't that right? I do believe that they have identified some of the volatility that may observe. I believe that the Black Monday Tokyo fear, kind of slipped their minds. Thus, it is a genuine buyback. However, the truth is that Nvidia, OpenAI, and Microsoft currently have the top AI engineers in the world. Therefore, they must retain the AI engineers because it is ultimately crucial to their performance, regardless of how many people may worry about options or anything else, such as fresh stock issuance as compensation. In reality, though, it's an incremental buyback. They will, in my opinion, immediately follow Cook and Apple's lead. After they really put it into practice, we won't be discussing $50 billion in a year or two. We'll be discussing a hefty repurchase of $75 to $100 billion. The cash flow is simply excessive. They must use it in some way. You can't simply shove everything back into capex. All right, let's display this earnings chart. The quarterly earnings are as follows. In Q2 2025, it reached 68 cents. Dan, these are consensus estimations, not yours. However, we're at 74 cents for the upcoming quarter and 80 cents for the one after that. Are you above this? Are you beneath this? In contrast to the consensus, where are you? Look, we think that the run rate per quarter will actually be $1.25, as we believe above. To put it another way, you will now begin to consider the out year after looking at 2025 and 2026, $5.50 per share. In other words, if you are considering purchasing this stock, your primary attention should be on the $5 earnings power figure. That's my perspective. Additionally, you're looking at the majority of investors in this name and in general. So if you're on an annual run rate, you're wondering, well, when does Blackwell ramp? When this is truly at scale, how do true numbers appear? Additionally, $5 is the out-year number that I believe to be buy-side or whisper. As a result, when you look at some of these, much attention is paid to where this is headed in the upcoming 12 to 18 months. For this reason, we discuss things like Apple and WWDC. Haters emerge. The stock is worth $190. Nothing about it can be found here. And today, it's $230, correct? After 2.5 months. My entire point is that, oftentimes, the story is missed in the first hunch of some of these things, not just for Nvidia, but for the larger tech industry in terms of that multiplier. The most crucial factor to the larger tech, in my opinion, is the $1 to $8 to $10 multiplier. Therefore, you receive 25 to 25 times profits power on a $5 annual run rate. Yes, 25 times. In what way does that affect the stock? Math was not my major. Then you start looking at something like $125. Finally, you realize that your earnings have truly increased to $5.25. Are you able to reach $175 or $150? Furthermore, I believe that the bull case, which is reaching $150 or $175, is essentially saying, okay, I'm looking at this for the next 2 to 3 years. As all of this develops, this company may have $5 or $6 in earnings power. As this all begins to unfold, it is essentially the bull case if you are looking at the long run. If you require any other changes, please let me know.